What's going on, Sagittarius? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a phenomenal week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the theme of this week's monthly spread is going to be a business spread, Sagittarius, and all the ways that we can expand on your abundance. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems. Feeling lovely. Just good energy all around here, Sagittarius. So let me just start off with, Sag. So mind the darkness here. It might be a little darker than normal. It's a little stormy over where I'm at. So we're setting a nice calmer setting, you know, or something like that, Sagittarius. You know, we're working with the energies. And just so you're all know, you know, I'm just gonna be going with the spread until Higher Self says stop. We're just going with the flow. And just so you're all kinds of awareness today, Sagittarius. These readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situation, okay? And then lastly, the decks that I'm using. This one that I'm shuffling, OG deck, it's Aleister Crowley's Spell deck. And then, And then the Oracle deck that I'm going to be using is the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle deck. And I'll include links for these decks and other decks that I like using down in the description box below. So definitely check that out if you're interested there, Sagittarius. But Sag. So, you know you're in a judgment-free zone, right? Let's just start there. But you got the Seven of Cups here to kick us off here in business. And this is interesting. You know, this could be a number of things. You know, normally the seven of Cups for me is normally like my prelude to a devil moment. And this could possibly turn into a devil moment if it's not addressed with. Because this to me is a card of like toxicity and you know, I'm thinking toxicity in the sense of like, let's say for one example, you got that coworker, whether you own a business or in a business, or you know, if you own a business, you got an employee, but you got that person that's either coming in, maybe spreading gossip, maybe they're always complaining as far as like, you know, all the things that might be wrong with the business, but then not offering any sort of solutions, you know, just generally just bringing down the vibe, you know, lowering that vibration. I say if we're in something like that, Sagittarius, I don't even mean if this is like something where you're like directly influenced in this, and if you are, try to distance yourself from that, you know, regardless of the situation, you know. I say try to, whether it's in a group setting, it's in an individual, we want to avoid this type of stuff here, Sagittarius, because that's going to interfere with your growth in business and in life, you know, because this kind of stuff here, that'll bleed over. Because here's the thing too, you know, when you're dealing with energies like that, you know, if the mood is brought down so much at work where it's miserable, you know, when you get home and then you go to unpack, you know, you're trying to unwind in like your safe space and like your calm area, and then there's still that nastiness, that ickiness from the you know, the hours prior to, if you've just been steeped in that, you know, it's not a recipe for any kind of goodness. And another thing, you know, when I think about this energy, Sagittarius, there are some times, and listen, again, wait, where is it at? Judgment-free zone, because I've done it too. This is something to be mindful of. I'm thinking of example, you know, if we're working at a place. Have you ever been in that situation? I know for example, I used to be in food and beverage, you know, a while back, and I did it for a long time. And have you ever been in that instance? Because it's like where you'll be at work, and kind of it might be kind of slow. You might be, you know, kind of just kind of talking, you may be saying like, oh, I wish such and such supervisor did this, or, man, why is everything broken in this place, or gosh, these customers suck, or, or just like, just getting caught up in the storm all the time, the complaining storm, but then not rising up. It's like, okay, we're sitting there and pointing out all the flaws in the place that we're working at right now. We got 3 or 4, and the crazy thing is, it's like you got 3 or 4 people that might be doing it. It's like, you know what, if we were to team up and maybe come up with some kind of proposals and maybe go to like a supervisor and manager, maybe present these things, maybe some stuff would get finished, as opposed to perpetuating the problems. Because here's what happens, if that's your everyday, like even in like your workplace, it's just like, this sucks, my goodness, everything's broken, blah, 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 then it makes it so that you even when you start your day, if you're thinking about this thing, your tone is set weird, because it's like, oh, I got to go to work today. And that's the kicker when you first wake up. And it's just like, whoa, that's a little intense to start off the day. And then if we get in it, and then, again, if we're steeped up in it, it's just, it's a lot taking on that energy there, Sagittarius. So just something to be mindful of when we're, oh, wow. Yeah, just something to be mindful of, Sagittarius, because here's the thing. I like, wow, that's powerful there, Sag. Look at this. If we're in something like that, Sagittarius, it's time to put that behind us. Or maybe some of us are getting, or hopefully, some of us are getting out of this thing. Maybe now we're at this place of where we're able to create more. We're able to start growing again, start manifesting. Maybe after this experience, putting this thing behind you, maybe let this experience be something for you, whether you own a company or if you're working for someone. Let this be, if we just got out of something toxic, let this next chapter be where we take the initiative to spread really some happiness around here. Let's shine some sunshine, or put some sunlight on this situation here, and kind of make it so that when we go to our places of employment or whatever, that it's not just so. It's because here's the thing, even when thinking of, because when I'm even thinking of like a 9 to 5, if this is not even like your jam, let's say you're just like kind of doing this, and again, no judgment. Let's say if we're doing this, it pays good money, it's got good insurance, it keeps you comfortable, I'm all for that. But if we're already sort of like, it's not like a passion, it's just like keeps you comfortable, but then it's also, it's got this toxic element on top of that. It's like, at what cost do we compromise for stability? You know what I mean? Because this is going to, sure, it may not be financially, you might be taken care of, okay, but emotionally, this is sullying all of your cups here. Because think too, Sag, the cups have to deal with emotions in this deck, and if all of our cups are filthy here, sure, it might be at work at first, but it has a tendency to bleed over. And when you get to the home space, when you're discussing, because usually, let's say if you got your partner, you say, what's going on at work? Well, it's like, well, Joe Bob was like, blah, 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 and then we're reliving it again, and now look, it's even interfering with the sunshine here. It gets you in this weird place, Sagittarius, when it just like, it's never worth it. I feel like keeping yourself in something like this, and again, I would never tell you what to do. But if we're noticing that it's, that this has really been throwing us out of whack, then at some point we need to take some action here. It's time to put this stuff on behind us, because we got some new opportunities that are cooking up in the mix here. And Sagittarius too, when we make space for this type of stuff here, the universe responds back. If we stay in this, that's what the universe thinks you want, is just to stay in this swamp that's cooking up here. here. But if we start removing ourselves, start doing things that are more healthy for us, removing ourselves from toxic people, putting up those boundaries. And let's say, because Sagittarius, I get it. Let's say I'm even thinking like, well, maybe some of us can't quit our jobs right now, because I get it. Be practical with this thing. Distance yourself. Put up boundaries. We don't have to participate in this one, but we can even start putting feelers out there. And two, take this to upper management. If this is something where we're working in a place, take this to management. If you don't feel comfortable taking it to management, then that, to me, again, that's some red flags for me right there. And if we own our own place, maybe we're the type, maybe we don't like me. Sagittarius, when I think about your energy, that probably wouldn't even be a problem. But maybe some of us, we may even feel kind of weird about maybe confronting this thing, or maybe don't want to be the person that is firing someone. But I'm thinking with your energy, Sagittarius, like I don't feel like that's the case, because nothing against it. If anything, I appreciate it. But Sagittarius can be very blunt energy, and I feel like you can tell people what's up. And if we're working for some place, be respectful. But I feel like we can tell people what's up, in the sense of just like, listen, I can't have that in my realm, like I understand you're going through your stuff, but I'm also going through something as well, and where I get that, why don't you take it up with the supervisor then? That may be something to do, Sag. Maybe redirect the energy. It's just like, okay, those are some really good points. Here, I think Mike's office hours are such and such to such, and so, delegate. Oh, that sounds above my pay grade. So, whatever you got to do, Sagittarius more. But just anything to really get yourself in a healthier environment, because it'll pay off in the long run here, Sag. Let's see what else we got cooking up here. Look at that. It's already paying off. Go, Sag. You got the nine of disc here. Nice. And then we got the 3 of wands, and then the four of cups. And you know what? I feel like maybe some of us, maybe we've been in a situation where, maybe this was something, because this could be, I'm even thinking if this is like a new experience, maybe you just got into a job and it seemed all nice and pretty on paper, but then when we got into it, the storm clouds start rolling in. And in Sagittarius, where it's like, maybe some of us, we might think, oh, I might want to stick it out, or, I can handle it. But if we get into this place of where we compromise our emotional standpoint for the finances, then that's going to, we're not balanced, and it may not affect you right now. It might be cool, maybe the money they're shelling out is dope, but over time, we don't want to be looking back and saying, even in like, staying with a toxic place or working with toxic people, we don't want to be in a place where it's like we're looking back, but it's like, well, I got all the money, but I kind of wish I would have followed my heart here, kind of did stuff that would have brought me some sunshine here. I feel like that's where this reading for you, Sag, this is resonating with you, to follow your heart, follow the sun. This is the sun in Aries, take that action. I feel like that's something too. If we've been in this for a long time here, and we're just like, if we've been looking for a sign or something along those lines, let this be your sign, Sag, because you got more growth that needs to get done here, and that's another thing too. I feel like, even if we take it a step further, thinking past like toxic people, if we're in a place that I'm even thinking where it's almost like it's routine in the sense, but like routine in a way that it's just like there's no growth to it, I feel like that this is something, Sagittarius, that to keep in mind of as well. And it's not to say that you can't do jobs that are routine, but I feel like with your sign, you being a mutable sign, which mutable signs are flexible, adaptable. And so even with this situation here, you can get out of whatever, whatever craziness this is. But I'm thinking too, just with the sign of Sagittarius, you're a sign of like higher knowledge and of expansion and of exploration and journeying and I feel like that any sort of environment that is that's limiting that, that's not to where, if we feel like that we've plateaued at some point here, then it's not to say that, that's necessarily a bad job, but it's just like, I feel like that maybe for some, you may have gotten all the growth that you can from that place, and if you can't grow up in that place, then it might be time to look for some other options as well here, because I'm even thinking with this Four of Cups is that maybe some of us might be, I don't want to say settling, but like kind of, it's like I feel like we know that we can shine a little bit brighter, but maybe we're just kind of, we're settling in the more so kind of like in the comfort of it, which again, there's I get enjoying that for a little while, and enjoying your accomplishments, but if we get in again to this place of just no movement, no growth, the waters have just stopped, then that's just something to think about there, Sagittarius, more. But yeah, I do feel that, Sagittarius, there is, for some of us, I do feel like that there is a chapter closing here. And you know what? With this Prince of Cups popping up, I say if we are in something, in some sort of weirdness here, and this could even be, Sagittarius, this isn't going to resonate for everyone, but if we're even in some sort of weird kind of sort of like inappropriate behaviors that are going on here, let's, take this as it resonates. But I feel like that's something where if we want to look into if we're in something weird like that, I say look into your employee handbook. One, if we're working with someone, if we're working at a company, see what the policy is for stuff like that, but don't keep that kind of stuff quiet. If we need to leave our job, whatever it is, but I can't, and that's a tricky one. You would never tell you what to do, but make sure that whatever this is, make sure that we know where we are in the, or what we can do in a situation, or what tools we have available to us, Sag. I hope that makes sense, because I feel like that's something too, I feel like with this Prince of Cups, he's the type that he's like a he's the type to suffer in silence. This is one of Scorpio's cards, and I feel like he's the type that keeps his stuff close to his vest, likes to keep his secrets, like doesn't like to let his emotions be known, even if it's at his detriment here. Because here's the thing too, that's funny to say that. Venus, with this Seven of Cups, this is Venus in Scorpio, and Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. And if we feel that our security, I'm thinking about Venus in the sense of like, rules Taurus and Libra, if our security, or if things aren't feeling right, Sag, figure out what we can do about that. Don't feel like this is something where, because maybe this is something you can even reach out to someone else and look in the guidelines. There are policies for stuff like that, and hopefully you understand what I mean. But this is, we want to be careful in situations like this as well. And two, even, getting out of that little trickiness, I feel like too, that to not suppress your feelings about something, Sagittarius. If we really don't like where we're at right now, whether I'm more so feeling like if we're working somewhere, but even if we're at a company, maybe if we own our own place, maybe something weird's going on with one of our partners, maybe something's weird going on with like maybe one of your employees, whatever that is, and maybe it's gotten into this place where whatever, if we're even thinking about a move, try not to let it get to this place of where you feel like you got to keep this bottle up, and that you got to just like power through and suffer through, because that will, and you may not feel it right now, but that is going to wear down on you over time, Sag, and it's not good for it's not good for that sunshine, that emotional health. It's there's we do like a balance is important when it comes to our stability, financial and emotional, and there's no need to compromise those things. You can have both and live comfortably. Let's see what else is going on here. Any more? All right. And too, Sagittarius, I'm thinking too, maybe if some of us are worried about maybe if we're this, maybe even thinking, if we're thinking about starting over or starting something new, but maybe if we're nervous about taking that first step or whatever it is that, maybe we feel like maybe we don't have enough of this, or maybe we're worried about experience or whatever it is, Sagittarius, don't worry about that. Take that leap. Trust that you have all the tools that you need. And if you feel like, let's say for example, maybe the company if we're looking to transfer, maybe there's a certain skill that you need to pick up. See if there's some like courses that maybe you can take. If we can find some free courses that cover your needs, dope. But even if we look for something, maybe find something kind of cheap. I know that I remember doing, a while back when I was in recruiting for a little bit, doing some like Udemy courses. Udemy is a pretty useful one. I want to say I've only used it for the one site, but that's something to look into, and then there's good old YouTube, got how-tos and knows and all plenty. So, use those resources as well there. Oh, speaking of resources. Look at you, Queen of Disc anymore. Being resourceful here, Queen of Disc. And you know what, too? Before I even get into talk about her, I feel like that maybe for some of us, I feel like that we might have been in this for a while, or maybe this is something that maybe we've noticed, but it's not something that maybe we've really honed in on, as far as like, I'm thinking about like toxicity, maybe even our like involvement in it, but I feel like that if we've been maybe kind of dragging our feet, or even if we feel like that maybe things haven't been moving or something along those lines, I feel like that it's time to take that step and create a new experience for yourself, maybe and again, it's not, it can be either looking for a new place of employment, maybe it could be a dealing with that troublesome coworker, employee, whatever, but I feel like that this you are in control of your world here, Sagittarius. If something is not resonating with you, if something is not working in this, whatever side of the business spectrum you're on, I feel like even whether you own it, and even too, you're probably thinking like, well, I don't own the business. How am I in charge? You don't have to stay there. You know what I mean? They need you. You don't need them. Like it really, and remember that, like I feel like sometimes too that there's some companies that can make it seem like that, well, you all are expendable, and to be fair, you're expendable, because and I get it, there are times, when we get into like recessions and things like that, but where there might be shortages on some aspects of life, in some sectors, there are other little pockets that are booming. You know what I mean? That's a nice thing about this universe here. There's always balance. So, maybe if there's something weird in our field that's going down, maybe we got to grind something for a little bit, maybe get a little creative, but it's realizing that you are the boss, Sag, no matter what position no matter what side of the road you are. And if this is not your jam, then channel your energy towards things that are going to get you to that sunshine, that's going to get you to that fulfillment, because that's what I feel like Sagittarius is about, and that's what we should all be about. But I really feel like, when it comes to growth and to evolve and all of that, Sag, go get it. But let's go ahead and get into some get into some oracle cards here so I can get you out of here and contemplating with this stuff. Because, I do understand where, maybe some of us might, feel maybe stuck in a situation, or, and again, maybe we just don't even have eyes on it. We may not even realize that we're in something toxic. And this, again, that's not to say don't go just looking for stuff, Sagittarius. I'm not saying you're in a toxic thing right now, but just be mindful of just where your energy is going to right now. And even this could be even just be like an invitation of just like, where am I at? Am I feeling good? Have I been able to take care of myself? Do I have like a good work-life balance? Have I been neglecting, like, have I been eating well? Have I been, I don't know, Sagittarius, eating well? Have I been moving the body? Have I been getting enough sleep? Just random stuff like that, just, yes. Make sure that we're in alignment here, because right now we're all upside down here, Sagittarius. At least some of you might be, and again, it's just that simple check-in, where, and even this could be a good one too, once we done our self check-in, where are we at with people, where are those boundaries looking like more, what's going on in that realm? Are people respecting your boundaries? Are you respecting theirs? It's this kind of check-in type of stuff here. Are we happy with where's life is going? And then do we feel like we're getting all of the blessings that I feel like that we're pouring into? Are we getting back what we're pouring in there, Sagittarius? And I think too that to realize, if you're at a place that doesn't make you feel that you have really improved their place, I'm not, and I'm not saying a place that just like blows smoke up your skirt, but I feel like if you've been really one who rises up, and you show up, you're early, you've been, you're always giving like 100%, leaving your stuff, leaving at the door, and if you're not feeling that there's that, and I'm not saying that we do these things for appreciation, but if I feel like if people are just using your gifts in stuff just for, it's almost exploitation in a sense, and that may sound a little extreme, but if we're, when you get off, are you feeling like super drained after you're getting off of work? And it's not like I'm talking like, oh, this was a good day's work, like I'm tired, but it's just because I was really in it today. Or because there might be days where it's like, it could be slow and you're just like, gosh, I didn't even do anything and I'm just exhausted. If we're in that state, that's just something to get eyes on anymore. Let's see what else. And I hope that makes sense, Sagittarius, because it's an interesting reading for sure. And then when we get talking about like toxic behaviors at work and whatnot, that's always getting into, anytime we got to get HR involved, and nothing against anyone in HR, but anytime we got to get HR involved, it's just like that's never ideal. But sometimes we do, and again, check your policies if we're in something weird, but sometimes we have to do what we got to do for our safety and our health there, Sagittarius. So just, something to be mindful of. But let's see what else anymore. Okay, let's switch back over here, Sagittarius. Wow, absolutely. The last card you got here is the Protect card, Sag, and absolutely protect yourself. Even because when I was talking about that trickiness earlier, that gets, depending on where that goes, that can get into some weird law stuff, and that all that handbook and policy stuff, don't sleep on that. If we're going through stuff, that's no joke. You never know. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So make sure that we're protecting ourselves if we're in any kind of trickiness. And even just in general, Sag, make sure that we're protecting our energies, our fields from people who may want to lower our vibration, who may want to use our gifts, maybe siphon our energy. And again, it's not that I'm saying that all companies are like this, but if you're in a place where because I remember, for example, I was trying to balance something with when I was doing this channel. I went to try to do like a little side gig, and food and beverage, because it was just what I knew. You know, just like I was comfortable with it. You know, good with people, so I was like, why not? And I'll tell you what, and you know, nothing to do with the company. That's a story for another day. Some Seven of Cups was going on. We'll leave that there, but. You know, after I would get off, and I was only working like a few hours, I was like so drained, like even more so than when I would just like, I could do like a whole day of readings, you know, and yes, I feel drained, but it's different than with this. This was just like gosh, you're tired, but then you're amped because you've just been in so much energies all day. So it's like you're having troubles winding down, you know, it's a lot. So be aware of where you're putting your energies, and how what you're doing it affects you, Sagittarius, because it really does. You know, I just want to make sure that we're just keeping that sunshine in mind, you know, bringing that expansion, you know, spreading that joy around, keeping that optimism too, because that's one, you know, you can only have as optimistic as your sign is, you know, there's only so much optimism you can throw on a Seven of Cups. At some point, we got to close the door, and we got to start some new stuff, you know, create some new experience there, Sagittarius. So just something to keep in mind, all right? But I like that. I feel like that was interesting little journey there. But yeah, hopefully that made sense. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and share this, especially if we know someone who is wrapped up in some nonsense. Because Seven of Cups for me, especially in work, is just, it's nonsense. You know, it's toxic. And again, if it's not raising the vibration, then it's like, what are we doing? You know, like okay, it's one thing to have all these problems, and what are we going to do about it? Are you just going to sit here and perpetuate the problem? Or are we going to provide, or are we going to tap into our energies and, you know, let's get some things done, you know? So I was like, what was that for? To share that and get Sag out of this situation. I've been telling the signs, it's like every time I still share this, and then I get right back into the readings. So it's like, you look at that, your little bonus readings. And then if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that bell button. You'll get notified when I release videos each week. Social media, I'm thinking about some stuff. You know, we're getting there. Slowly but surely, baby steps, you know. I had some other things that I've been cooking up in the mix here. So actually, one of them just came in last night, so I'm actually really excited. But nature, my problem. Lastly, if you have any Cancer in your placements, or maybe you're working with the Cancer, I hope you're not. Well, not with any toxicity. You know, maybe. Hopefully not. And I promise, you know, if on the off chance, I swear we're good for it. Come check out the Chariot and Friends. Maybe this Cancer is imbalanced. Bring them over to the Chariot and Friends. We'll help them out. We'll raise that vibration. But stay with me, Sag. I discuss, it's a channel if you have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, wherever. Well, I was going to call you Cancer. Wherever, Sag. This one's for you. And that'll make sense if you go check that out. But yeah, it's a good old time. We discuss lunar shenanigans and all that housekeeping. It's down in the description box below. But let me get you out of here, Sag, and just contemplating life. Interesting. I like that. You got the Two of Wands here for your tarot card, and let's see what your oracle card is. Interesting. You got the Festival card in reverse here. And you know what? Let's start here. Because if we feel like we've been at a place, man, it is dark. If we feel like if we've been in a dark place, and it hasn't been, if it's been like where it's, I get where, you know, we're at work to have work, but there should be some fun in there. You know, there should be some times where where we can enjoy ourselves. And if we're in this place of where we don't feel like it, where it's just, again, been draining and whatnot, I think it's time to take charge of your life again there, Sag. You know, I think that it's time to establish your own dominion. You know, normally this, like the Two of Wands is just like my go out and get it. And this is saying that too, but I really appreciate the dominion part here, because it's, it's like that. It was kind of like I was saying with like that magician, you know, no matter, or with like the queen of disc, you know, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, you know, you are in charge of where you want to be in life there, Sagittarius. And if this is not your jam, we take action. You know, we figure out what ways that we can get this thing right. You know, that we can adjust this stuff so that everything can get back in equilibrium, so that you're enjoying what you're doing again, so that you want to get up and contribute and raise that vibration and manifest. You know what I mean? That's what a place of work should do, and that's where, whether we're working at a place, and again, if we own a place, let's make sure that we're fostering. You know, let's not excuse toxic behavior. You know, and I'm not like telling you to go make excuse me, examples of people there, Sag, but let's just make it clear that this is not that type of zone. You know, if we're not spreading sunshine and getting down to business, then we gotta we are all about, where's it, hold up, we're about sunshine and 9 of disc here. We're about happiness and gaining, and if you ain't about that, then keep it stepping. All right, Sag, let me get you out of here. Where are we at? All right, I'm doing all right on time. So especially if we're in some trickiness, stay safe out there. Stay safe out there, and get all the information that you need. Okay, make sure that we have all the tools at our disposal here. You know, we don't want to get in a place where we're caught off guard, or, you know, in some weirdness. Okay, and then get yourself in a place where you can get back, if we're not in one, to raise that vibration again, Sagittarius, because you really, if you, I'd love when you raise the vibration. And so it's because it breathes in so much. Last little thing, you know, I'm thinking about the moon placements, talking about the Cancer channel, and one of my favorite placements is when the moon is in Sagittarius, because it's such a optimistic, but in an inspiring type of energy. It's just like, you know, it's that clarity when you are in such an optimistic state. It's just like the opportunities are endless. You know, like that's like your energy that I get, you know, when I think about it. I enjoy that. So just know you really know how to raise that vibration through the roof there, Sag. And I will catch you, just a little pick me up just for the NW, especially we've been dealing with some shenanigans. But I will catch you on the next one. Later.